Hello everyone, we are team number 7 and we were tasked with lab number 4. So in this screencast I'm going to explain how to go through lab number 4 and complete the Wireshark lab. The first thing you want to do when you're doing these labs is obviously open up the PDF for the lab and find the objectives in there. In lab number 4, the objectives are to define a domain name system and filter a Wireshark capture and analyze the packets. After you do that, good thing to do is go to one of the last pages in the report will tell you what needs to be turned in. In this particular lab there are 3 sections. The first one is the introduction, where you describe the goals and motivations of the project and describe your expectations. Section 2 is the questions section. In this particular lab there is 6 questions in task 1 and 3 questions from part 2 for the NS lookup, and then there is a who is portion in section 3 that we need to go on the web and to networksolutions.com and find out a couple different questions about Google, but we'll get there when we get to that. The first thing you want to do is log into the virtual machines, which is described how to do in the getting started document on Angel. It's dce.psu.edu / your Penn State user ID and password. Obviously you want to use your username and password, not mine. The virtual lab takes a few seconds to connect. Once that's up and running, the first step is to go into the Wireshark capture folder and open up Evidence 03 capture. Which is right here. Open it with Wireshark. Once it opens, the next step is to type in DNS in the filter area and then go and click on apply. Once that applies, it will filter out only the protocols of the domain name systems. The very first question then under step 4 A is what are the following IP addresses and CNAMEs if applicable. The first one is metrics.apple.com, and if you look over here in the info, number 27 is sending a query to metrics.apple.com, and then frame 28 is the actual response. So you want to click on frame 28, and then down here in the middle pane is the domain name systems, which is the response. Click on the arrow to open that, and then you want to click on answers. Once that opens, you're going to have to scroll down your screen to be able to see the answers. Now, it was asking for the IP addresses and the CNAMEs for the metrics.apple.com. Now obviously this has a bunch starting right here and ending right here. So the answer for AI for the IP address is all of these. And then obviously right here, if the CNAME, if applicable, is appleglobal.112.207.net would be the CNAME. Number 2 is phobos.apple.com. Again, up here in the first window, is where you find that particular query. So there's the query. We have to scroll down to get the response. And right here is the response for Phobos. serge.apple.com. Once again, click on that. The answers down here is already open since we opened it on the previous one. You just scroll down to where you can see the answers. And again, in this one, there's a lot of IP addresses starting with this particular one and ending with that particular one. And again, the CNAME is right here. a1.da1.akamai.net. The third one is ax.itunes.apple, which again, go back up to the first pane, find the search query, which is right here, and then the one right below it is the response. The answers tab down at the bottom under DNS is obviously open because we had it open from the last two. And you can see here that there are 3 IP addresses. And then the CNAME again is right here. So that answers A1, A2, and A3. And then it asks for ax.serge.itunes.apple.com. Which again, you go back up to the top. And down here is where you find all the answers for that. Now moving on to the next step in the lab. It's asked what port does the DNS traffic actually use. This is question under step 4. This is question B. And when you're looking for that, you can click on any one of these DNS protocols. And then go into the UDP. Open the UDP box, and it will tell you that the destination port, depending on which one you click on, uses DNS port 53, and right there it will be. If it's a response, like on this particular one is a response, it will be switched around. The source obviously is coming from Apple. It's using 53. Question C is what is the broadcast address used by MDNS? We click on an MDNS. And once that opens, once you click on the MDNS, you don't even have to click on actually. It's the broadcast address it's using is under the destination. It's 224.0.0.251. So that answers question C. That is actually all of the particular Wireshark based questions. So we've answered all 6. The next question in the lab then has us actually doing NS lookups on the command bar on your own computer, not through the virtual lab. So to do that, what you do is go down to Start, And down here in the search area, you just type in CMD and hit enter, and your command prompt should pop up. Once your command prompt pops up, it's going to show who you're logged in under. And this is asking for 3 particular things. The first one is to obtain an IP address of a web server in Asia, to determine the DNS server for a university in Europe, you can pick any university, and then to query it for Yahoo Mail. So the first one we'll do is the NS lookup for a web server in Asia. All you do is type in NS lookup space www.registry.asia and hit enter. And then it will bring up the web addresses for those particular lookups. Again, take a screenshot of this. This will be one of your answers for the number 1 under the NS lookups. Number 2 is fairly similar. You just type in NS lookup, and then this time any particular university in Europe. The one I did on my report was Edinburgh. You can, like I said, you can choose any one you want. Once you do that, I actually spelled it wrong. Once you do it right, it will actually again then show you the web address and the domain for that one. The last NS lookup is for the Yahoo Mail, and when you do that, you just type in the NS lookup and then www.yahoo.com and then a space with the particular university or the registry Asia, depending on which one you want to do. I just did the university again. And sometimes this times out and takes a little longer, but it actually does then come up. And there, that would be another screenshot, and that would be your third answer. Moving on, the last part of this lab takes us to the Whois for Google. There's a few questions about Google domain and when it expires and all that, and that's actually on the very last part of the paper where it goes over what is required for the report. So on that, you're supposed to open up networksolutions.com, which I already have done. Once you're at networksolutions.com, you're to come down to this Whois link and click on that. Once you click on that, in here you enter the domain name of google.com, hit enter or click on search, and then there are 4 particular questions. Click down here on the show underlying registry data for this record. It will open up another window, and question A is, when does the Google domain name expire? All you have to do then is find the expiration date, which is 14th September 2020. So that is the answer, obviously, for A. B says, if Google forgets to renew this domain name, could you purchase it at that time? Now, if you read down into the notices in terms of use, you will find that you cannot actually purchase it at that time. It actually says the expiration date displayed in this record is the date the registrar's sponsorship of domain name registration in the registry is currently set to expire. This date does not necessarily reflect the expiration date of the domain name registrant's agreement with the sponsoring registrar. Like I said, as you go on and read this, it will tell you that you cannot purchase it then. Question C is, Network Solutions is not the registrar from Google, from whom Google purchased the domain name. Who is the registrar? If you go up here to the very top again, it shows you domain name is the Google, and here's the original registrar. It was from Mark Monitor Inc. So that's the answer for C. The final question then, D, asks, what is a DNS registry? And a domain name registry is a database of all domain names registered in a top-level domain. Obviously, you just have to Google what is a DNS registry, and that will show you how to do that. Now, once you have all your screenshots and everything, you're supposed to put this in the report and upload it to the Angel Dropbox, and that is how you successfully maneuver through lab